Today, we challenge the idea that rest is laziness and instead explore how stillness is essential biologically, emotionally, and spiritually. From the science behind sleep to the emotional strength required to slow down, we talk about why rest isn't a reward, it's a necessity. This episode offers a new way to view rest, not as a weakness, but as a powerful act of self love, healing, and resistance. Let's rest and listen in today. Get recharged. Thank you for listening once again, or thank you for finding us today. If you're listening, I bet you're feeling crazy busy and maybe wondering how to slow down. Or maybe someone cares about you and sent this to you and wants you to rest and be around in their lives a little bit longer. So, in our last episode, we focused on silent wins, and this week we keep the quiet theme going by focusing on rest and recharging. In a world that idolizes hustle culture and constant productivity, the concept of stillness is often misunderstood. We're told to grind harder, sleep when we're dead, and always be doing something. And underneath these catchphrases lies a deep rooted and outdated belief that if you're resting, you're lazy. And while some may think that this belief is to help motivate us, is this belief actually true? Or is it doing more harm than good? We as a society, we're dealing with so much more burnout, more mental health crisis, and the unsustainable nature of 24/7 productivity more than ever before. And we really need to change this. Stillness is not lazy, it's essential, it's healing, it's powerful. And more than anything, it's time we reclaim it. Modern society, with all its instant notifications, instant gratifications, and instant everything, is driven by performance metrics, grades, promotions, the number of followers, deadlines. And from a young age, we're taught to keep winning, keep going, compare, 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 and then do better. Rest becomes a reward after all this and not a need or a right. And we start to equate rest with idleness and idleness with laziness. And in capitalist societies like ours, especially, value is often linked with output. People are praised for being busy, admired for their packed schedules, and even envied for being overwhelmed, as though stress is a badge of honor. On the flip side, stillness, a moment of doing nothing, saying nothing, producing nothing, is seen as unproductive at best and shameful at worst. But when we ignore a fundamental truth about human beings, we are not machines. We are human beings, not human doings. When we deny this, in denying ourselves rest, we're not being more efficient. We're actually operating at a deficit. And I don't just mean sleep. I mean the rest that every part of your body needs, from your brain to your body to the depths of your soul. From a biological standpoint, rest is not optional, it's critical for survival. Sleep, which is the most obvious form of rest, supports memory consolidation, hormone regulation, immune function, and cellular repair. The National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Stroke states that most adults need 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. And in general, people are getting less sleep than they need due to longer work hours and the availability of round the clock entertainment and other activities. And many people feel they can catch up on their missed sleep during the weekend, but depending on how sleep deprived they are, sleeping longer on the weekends may not be enough to replace the sleep they've missed. Studies note that sleep helps with focus and concentration. It also allows the brain to clean out and organize, all of which are critical to learning. It helps regulate people's emotions and better manage the physical and psychological effects of stress. Sleep influences a person's ability to recognize danger and threat, helps with sound judgment, good decision making, and other executive functions of your brain. Research shows that sleeping on it, or sleeping on a complex problem, improves a person's chance of solving it. Sleep provides the release of growth hormones necessary for the body's tissues to grow and repair, and supports our immune functions that allow the body to fight off diseases and infections. Just one sleepless night can make it harder for you to focus and think clearly, and more likely to make you feel irritable and make bad decisions when you haven't had enough sleep. And sleep deprivation significantly elevates your risk of making a mistake at work or having a car accident. And this compounds quickly if you don't get enough sleep night after night by suppressing your immune system, increasing your risk of developing heart problems, type 2 diabetes, and high blood pressure. It can interfere with your metabolism, leading to obesity, which of course can compound the physical problems I just mentioned. And it can negatively impact your relationship at work, at home, and lead to increased depression and anxiety. But it's not just sleep. You need quiet and rest while you're awake for your emotional health, which can then lead to your physical health. Beyond sleep, quiet wakefulness and intentional pauses throughout the day have been shown to improve focus, creativity, and emotional regulation. Stillness encourages the parasympathetic nervous system, the body's natural rest and digest mode. And this state counters the fight or flight stress response that, well, in the past used to protect us from tigers and predators and now has us running constantly with job and other life stressors. The parasympathetic countering response of stillness helps to reduce cortisol levels and promotes recovery. Things like meditation, deep breathing, or simply just sitting in silence allows the body and mind to restore itself. When we ignore these needs, our bodies eventually force us to pay attention through illness, tiredness, anxiety, or burnout. We've seen it. Someone's pushing themselves so hard, they feel it in their body, their blood pressure's rising, their back's aching, but they don't listen. So then their body reminds them more harshly to listen, and they get sick more regularly. And when they really don't listen, the body gets even louder and maybe eventually creates a long term disease or a heart attack in an effort to say, please slow the heck down and chill. Rest is not a luxury, it's preventative medicine. So, how does mindfulness play into this rest and why is it not lazy? Practices like yoga, mindful breathing, and silent retreats are gaining mainstream acceptance as tools to cultivate inner peace and mental clarity because so many of us just can't chill out on our own. And so we're turning to gurus and retreats to show us the way. These practices are not about doing nothing for the sake of nothingness, they're about creating space. Stillness offers the mind a break from the noise, the body a chance to breathe, and the soul a moment to reconnect with what matters. In mindfulness, stillness isn't passive, it's actually active attention. It requires attention to sit with discomfort, to face the thoughts we've been running from, and observe without judgment. In this way, stillness becomes a form of strength, not weakness. And when we appear to be doing nothing as we sit in silence, we are in fact doing more good for us than days and weeks of workouts. Throughout history, rest has been revered in ways that modern culture has pretty much forgotten. In many traditional spiritual places, stillness is sacred. In Christianity, it's the concept of a day of rest. It's central to spiritual health and communal life. In Buddhism, meditation is the path to enlightenment, achieved through stillness of the mind and body. And even ancient Greek philosophy, Aristotle acknowledged the value of leisure as necessary for contemplation and the flourishing of the soul. These philosophies understood thousands of years ago what we're only beginning to remember now. Rest isn't the opposite of productivity, it's what enables meaningful action. And choosing rest in today's world is sometimes seen as radical. Activist and founder of the NAP ministry, Tricia Hersey, writes about rest as resistance. She argues that rest is a spiritual and political practice, a way to reclaim our humanity from systems that treat people as machines. Her work encourages us to view napping, slowing down, and unplugging not as laziness, but as liberation. I would say it's a way to take back our power as a human being. To rest in a world that demands our constant output is to say, I am enough as I am. I do not need to earn my worth. I deserve to rest and recharge without having to prove it. So let's think about how we define productivity, and maybe that's part of the problem. When productivity is measured solely by how much we do and not by what we do and why, we may get a lot done, but at what cost? Studies have shown that countries that have lower work hours, like Germany and Denmark, actually have higher productivity and more employee well being and motivation. A study from Stanford University showed that productivity drops significantly after 50 hours of work per week. And in fact, that working past 55 hours brings no benefits and is basically just considered a waste of time. And a study by Slack showed that people who work overtime showed 20% reduction in productivity. And working more than 40 hours a week directly impacts that wonderful needed sleep we spoke about and increases the risks and effects of depression and anxiety. Athletes understand this, as we all do when it comes to workouts. Rest days are crucial for recovery and performance. Muscles don't grow during workouts, they grow during rest. And the same can be said for our minds and spirits. True productivity is about intentionality. It's not about doing all the things all the time. It's about doing the right things at the right time. It's about alignment, not exhaustion. Adding stillness and rest into our everyday lives doesn't hinder productivity, it enhances it. There have been numerous studies that show that rest improves concentration, problem solving, and decision making. Creativity often happens while you're resting. Have you had those times, maybe in the shower or on a walk or during a moment of quiet, when you have great ideas or a solution to a problem? This typically doesn't happen in the middle of frantic multitasking. I know as I plan ideas for my podcast, I'm regularly speaking into my phone while I'm walking or relaxing in other ways. My brain just flows to that creativity much easier then. But what about the guilt of rest? Even when we know we need a break, we often feel bad for taking one to the point that we don't even think we should be taking that lunch. Too much to do, so let me eat at my desk. We check emails during vacations, we apologize for sleeping in, and we justify downtime by promising to work harder later. And there's the people pleasing aspect of not taking rest. Someone needs something from you. Someone's counting on you to finish something. You said you would do X by this date, or you just don't want to let someone down or let them think badly of you. But people pleasing at work has very short term feelings of success, and it's not sustainable in the long run. Burnout is not a badge of honor. And do you really think that working so hard that you get yourself sick, maybe put yourself in the hospital, or even just negatively affect your mental health so that you can't keep being productive? Is that what your boss wants? Of course not. And if they do or don't care, well, maybe it's time to update your resume. We put so much guilt on ourselves that our value is tied to our output. And overcoming this requires not just behavioral change, but a shift in self perception and self worth and value. We have to start seeing ourselves as more than our jobs, more than what we can do for someone or something else, but as whole human beings with needs, limits, and emotions that require rest and stillness, and we are worthy of it. Maybe we need to unlearn that hard work value set that was set into us and ingrained to us by our parents, by the companies we work for, or by society as a whole. I don't mean you don't work hard and feel proud of what you do. You can still do that, but I mean relearning to offer ourselves the care, compassion, and rest that we may not have been taught to value. So, how do we do this in little steps? Because that's what we're all about here, little steps. Reframing stillness doesn't require drastic changes, but it does require consistent changes, daily changes. It can start with small, intentional practices, like morning stillness. Begin the day with 5 minutes of silence before checking your phone. Do a 5 minute stretching or yoga routine and give yourself the gift of time to gracefully start your day. Mindful breaks. Step outside between meetings. Breathe. Notice your surroundings. Listen to the birds. Put your feet on the grass. Digital detox. Unplug from devices for even a half an hour each day. Turn off your email and Teams notifications while you're having dinner with your family. and let them know that each of them in your family, including yourself, is worth focusing on. Scheduled rest. Block off time in your calendar, not just for work, but for stillness. Schedule it in like it's an important meeting and show up on time and ready to start doing intentional nothingness. Movement as stillness. Get up from your desk for your breaks. Or if you're going to eat at your desk, then only do so in order to use your actual break time to get up and change your space, or go for a walk, or gently stretch to offer peace through motion. And creative stillness. Draw, or maybe keep one of those mindfulness drawing books and pencils nearby and just color. Or let your mind wander and daydream. Or listen, truly listen to music. Making these small changes, we begin to train ourselves and our nervous systems to value and trust stillness. And we begin to remind ourselves to prioritize our health and wellness over productivity. As we look to the future, redefining rest is not just a personal necessity, it's a societal need, and I see this in today's world. There's so much stress, burnout, and uncertainty. It's more important than ever to take care of ourselves. The costs of burnout, anxiety, and chronic stress are mounting. At work, you can help. When you see your coworker struggling, offer to take a quick walk with them. And if you're a manager, pay attention to your staff and lead by example and take breaks and rest. I remind my staff at work that even if you want to give 110%, that's only 44 hours a week, so don't be working more than that. At home, let's prioritize connection over constant activity. Maybe we don't need to have something going on every night of the week: soccer practice, violin lessons, ballet. In a world that's constantly on the go, we each have to take action to stop, to enjoy the nothingness, to give ourselves and those around us permission to slow down and take a breath. Stillness isn't lazy, it's life giving. It's not a break from reality, it's a return to it. In moments of stillness, we reconnect with ourselves and our purpose and our place in the world. We're not designed to be constantly plugged in, perpetually performing. We're designed to breathe and to reflect and just be. So thank you for listening today, and I hope you share this episode with someone you know that needs to rest, that needs to slow down. And maybe you can encourage each other and just slow down and rest together. Breathe and be still, not because you've earned it, because you need it and because you deserve it. So take the step today to unplug, to rest, to recharge, and then take that step every day to find your stillness. Because stillness, far from being lazy, might just be the most powerful thing you can do to bring back that feeling of peace and love for yourself and your life, little by little and piece by piece. This podcast is based on my own life experiences. I'm not a therapist, a psychologist, psychiatrist, or any other licensed medical professional. Please share this podcast with anyone you think needs to hear this so that we all move forward, little by little and piece by piece. And thank you, Purple Planet, for sharing your music.